everyone, I'm Christelle from Permacrafters. Welcome to this class on zero waste living. Today I'll be talking about what the zero waste movement is all about and the 5 principles at the core of this movement, which are to refuse, reduce, reuse, recycle, and rot. And in that order, I'll also be talking about privilege and barriers to reaching the 100% zero waste ideal goal. Permacrafters, as our name suggests, is built on the ethics of permaculture, which are to care for the earth, care for people, and share fairly. And one of the most important principles of permaculture is to produce no waste. So permaculture is an ethical design system for sustainable human culture, and it's inspired by nature's designs. And in nature, there is no waste. It's a cyclical system, so everything in this natural system is continuously recirculated, becoming food for various organisms at different stages. So trash cans and landfills do not exist in nature. But the world we live in today has this throwaway culture with waste as an end product, but waste is an artifact of human existence. So in our current society, resources are extracted and sent to the landfill. But this produce no waste permaculture principle asks us to break ourselves out of this culture of obsolescence and consumerism by valuing resources. So what is waste? In the zero waste movement, waste is generally referred to as trash. It's essentially anything that ends up in the landfill or any non-biodegradable item that accidentally / on purpose ends up out in nature. So the goal in the zero waste movement is to get as close as possible to having an empty trash can and to send nothing to the dump. So that doesn't mean that you get to stockpile useless items at home just to save them from the dump either. Reducing what you don't need to simplify your life is definitely part of going zero waste. Recycling is also part of the equation, but only as a last resort, and I'll get to that in a moment. So when someone says that they are zero waste, they generally mean that generating no waste is their goal and that they have gone to great lengths to minimize their trash and that they send close to nothing to the landfill. So in permaculture, the produce no waste principle also refers to material waste like trash, as well as wasteful energy systems like wasteful water usage or wasteful usage of resources in general. So it's really easy to be wasteful when there's an abundance of water and oil, but these practices don't take into account the long-term consequences. So really the zero waste ideas and the produce no waste ideas overlap. So in this class, when I refer to waste, I will mostly be referring to material waste, that is trash, but I will also bring up wasteful uses of resources when it's pertinent to do so. There's been a huge push to reduce waste, and that's because the environmental data are terrifying. According to the EPA's 2013 data, the average American generates 4.4 pounds of unwanted materials per day, sending 2.9 pounds of trash per day to the landfill, and recycling or composting 1.5 pounds of materials per day, only 34% of the total unwanted materials. But guess what that data does not include? Human waste. We send 3 pounds of our feces and urine to the landfill every day as well, but we don't even take that into consideration, but more on this topic later. This trash then ends up sitting in our landfills, often leaching pollutants into our waterways, contaminating our groundwater, our aquifers, our soil, causing odor pollution, and generating greenhouse gases like methane and carbon dioxide. As for our recycling process, much of it gets shipped abroad because the US does not have the appropriate recycling facilities and capacity available to recycle the amount of electronics, plastic, and other recyclables that we end up generating. So as a society, we are addicted to these wasteful habits that continue to drive consumption. So when we buy new things, it reinforces our sense of freedom and of affluence, but we're supporting the extraction of new environmental resources, which causes unnecessary deforestation and mining, which in turn leads to more greenhouse gas emissions, biodiversity loss, and this giant domino effect on our planet. So as soon as the items that we buy no longer serve us, we send them to landfills and we call for new environmental resources to be extracted for us to replace what we just sent to the dump. And so goes this dysfunctional cycle. And often we also litter, and littered waste eventually finds its way to the sea. And littering and improper waste management is so pervasive worldwide that our oceans are suffering the consequences. So unless this waste is managed properly, the Ocean Conservancy estimates that we will have 1 ton of plastic for every 3 tons of fish in the sea by 2025. And this plastic is already found its way into our seafood and into our tap water. We're eating it, we are drinking it. 94% of household tap water in the States is contaminated by microplastics. So it's a really heavy subject, and I only needed to hear it one time to know that I needed to do something about it. And I think that turning your sadness and anger about this into concrete actions for change is the best way forward. So I'm sharing some solutions with you here in class. I am inspired by the movers and the shakers out there. I love hearing your ideas. I love hearing your projects about how to tackle waste. So I think that with our voices and our actions, we can co-create a world where waste is a thing of the past and that we really find value in all existing resources. So with that being said, let's delve right into the principles of living zero waste.